Have you ever wondered what's actually happening behind the screen of your favorite apps? You tap something, you swipe, and boom, the information is just there, instantly. It feels like magic. But behind that smooth experience is this invisible engine that's working like crazy. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on that engine. We'll look at what makes our apps feel so fast, and we'll also dive into a wild, kind of sci-fi solution that helps protect our most private data. We have all been there, right? You're trying to do something simple, maybe book a car or check a stock, and one app is just lightning fast while another one just spins and spins. It's so frustrating. But what is actually going on there? What's causing that lag? I can tell you it's not always just your internet connection.
At the end of the day, it all boils down to one thing: data synchronization. I mean, think about it. How does the information on your phone stay perfectly in sync with some central computer, a server that could be thousands of miles away? Getting that right, that is the secret to making an app feel instantaneous.
All right, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. To make that seamless experience happen, developers have to wrestle with some really tough, hidden challenges. It's this constant fight against things like the speed of light and the sheer complexity of our digital world.
So here are the big 5 hurdles that developers are up against. First up, you've got network latency. That's basically just the travel time for data. Then there's data staleness. You know when you see a price for something and by the time you click on it, it's already changed? Yeah, that's it. You've also got the crazy real-time complexity of it all, the challenge of scaling to millions of users, and of course, error recovery. What happens when things just, break?
Let's dig into latency for a sec, because it's really the most fundamental problem. Think of it this way. Every single time you tap your screen, your phone sends a tiny messenger out to the server, and then it has to wait for that messenger to come all the way back with an answer. That round trip, no matter how fast your connection is, takes time, and that time, that delay, is latency.
So, how do you fight back against physics? Well, with some really clever engineering tricks. Developers use a couple of key strategies. First, they make sure there's only one source of truth for the data, so your app doesn't get confused. And second, they use something called delta syncing. Instead of sending all the data back and forth every time, it only sends the little bits that have actually changed. I mean, why would you mail a whole book back to the publisher if you only found one typo? Just send the corrected page. It's way faster.
Okay, so making an app feel fast is one thing, but that's just half the battle. What about the really smart features like fraud detection or credit scoring? Those things are powered by artificial intelligence. And AI has an absolutely insatiable appetite for data. And that leads us to a much deeper problem. And this is what's known as the privacy paradox. See, to build the best, smartest AI, you need tons of real-world data. But what happens when that data is something like your personal financial history? In fields like finance, the very data you need to build the AI is the exact same data you are legally and ethically forbidden from using. So you can see the dilemma right here. On one side, the goal is amazing. Build powerful AI that can protect us from fraud and make better financial decisions. But on the other side, you have this massive roadblock: super strict privacy laws like GDPR. It's a classic case of an unstoppable force meeting an immovable object. And this isn't some minor inconvenience. As the research makes crystal clear, financial data is some of the most sensitive stuff out there. You can't just be kinda careful with it. You need, and I quote, robust privacy safeguards. So the big question becomes, how on earth do you train an AI to understand financial data without ever letting it see real financial data? Well, the solution is genuinely mind-blowing. It sounds like something pulled straight out of a science fiction novel. Instead of using real, risky data, researchers are now generating completely artificial or synthetic data. It's like they're creating new money, data that looks, acts, and feels completely real, but has absolutely no connection to any real person.
So let's break that down. The whole idea of synthetic data generation is to use an AI to create a totally fake data set that is, for all intents and purposes, statistically identical to the real thing. Think about it like this. Imagine an AI that studies every single note of every Mozart symphony. And then it composes a brand new symphony that is so good, even experts can't tell it wasn't written by Mozart himself. That's the basic idea here. And just to be clear, this isn't some fringe concept cooked up in a garage somewhere. This field is absolutely exploding. A huge review paper, the one called New Money, looked at 72 different studies on this exact topic. And get this, that's just since 2018. This is happening right now, and it's happening fast. So what's the secret sauce? What kind of AI is actually creating this stuff? Well, as you can see, one technique is the undisputed king of the hill. Almost 74% of the time, the answer is something called a GAN, or a Generative Adversarial Network.
Now, GANs are just so cool. Seriously, picture two AIs locked in this epic duel. One is called the generator. It's like an art forger, trying its best to create a perfect fake. The other AI is the discriminator. It's like an art expert, trying to spot the forgery. They go back and forth over and over millions of times until the forger gets so good that the expert literally can't tell the difference anymore.
And this is the result. On one side, you have real financial data. It comes from real people, which means the privacy risk is incredibly high. You need it for day-to-day stuff, but that's it. On the other side, you have the synthetic data, made by an AI. It has zero privacy risk, which makes it the perfect, safe playground for training and testing the next wave of AI models. But wait a minute, how do you know if the fake data is any good? Well, researchers have a few tests. Almost 80% of them check to see if it's statistically similar to the real stuff. Makes sense. About 2/3 of them check if you can actually train a useful AI with it. Also makes sense. But, and this is the wild part, look at that tiny little slice at the bottom. Only about 12% of these studies even bothered to test if the data was actually private? Let that sink in. The entire reason for this whole complicated process, the whole point of creating synthetic data, is to protect privacy. And yet, that is the least tested feature of them all. It's a massive, glaring gap between what everyone says the goal is and what they're actually checking in the lab.
Okay, so let's tie these two big ideas together. We started by talking about the challenge of making data fast enough for our apps to feel instant, and we ended up talking about the challenge of making data safe enough for our AIs to learn from. The future of pretty much all technology depends on solving both of these problems at once.
And this is where it all connects. You know that instant fraud alert you get from your bank? That, hey, was this you notification? That's AI. And how did they train that AI to be so smart without looking at all of your private spending habits? You guessed it. They're using these incredible synthetic data techniques. Speed and safety, they really are two sides of the same coin. So, let's just do a quick recap. That snappy, instant feeling in your apps, that's all about clever data syncing. But the AI that makes those apps smart creates a huge privacy problem. A powerful solution is synthetic data, often made by those dueling AIs we talked about. And when you put it all together, our entire digital future really depends on figuring out how to make our data both incredibly fast and perfectly safe. And I'll leave you with one final thought to chew on. We started this whole journey trying to figure out what makes our apps feel real. And we ended up discovering that the future of those apps might be powered by data that isn't real at all. So, if an AI can create fake data that is so perfect it's statistically indistinguishable from reality, what does the word real even mean anymore?